Hey guys, I want to introduce you to Breanna, and I want to introduce you to her because she's the real deal. She's a new provider, but she's growing quickly because she's doing intelligent things. I love what you do. Tell us about what you do.
So, Soul Support works with kids, teens, and young adults. My passion always has been, and we specialize in autism and physical disabilities. So now that's what I can do.
Well, I think that's fantastic. So what we're going to do today is we're going to look at, Breanna, your LinkedIn and look at what you've done. You've
Yep.
come a long way. So
Yep.
what is it you've been doing on LinkedIn? And then what we'll do is you and I together, if you're open to it, we'll look at what you could do that will accelerate people's trust in you and more referrals. So what have you done so far on LinkedIn?
So, initially, the way I was reaching out to people to try and get new participants, I was cold calling support coordinators. That wasn't working. I spoke with you and you recommended LinkedIn. I hadn't been on LinkedIn before you recommended it. Got on LinkedIn. Wow, amazing.
Okay, that makes sense. And we won't find support coordinators on LinkedIn. They just don't do LinkedIn. Everyone else will be happy to refer you. So let's have a quick look. And if we look at what you've got there, Breanna, for someone who's just jumped on LinkedIn, this is great. So things like you're reposting something that is intelligent from Ward, okay? Oh, yeah, stuff like that. And he's showing that you know what you're doing, okay? So you're using other people who are well known, or like Ward or myself, to build your own credibility, okay? And then you're reposting something that Vanessa's talking about that's quite insightful, okay? So that you're showing that you think. That one's more of a Facebook post. That sort of works on Facebook. That stuff doesn't work so well.
Okay.
But because what you've got here with this one is we're sort of talking about the issue round in a roundabout, beating around the bush way, whereas this stuff here is what you want for LinkedIn, that gets straight into the guts of it. Now, for anyone who's just jumped on LinkedIn in the last 3 or 4 or 5 weeks, this is outstanding. Okay, so if we look at what you've got here, you've cited someone else's article. You didn't get much interaction on that. What you want to do, Breanna, is you want to be the subject matter expert without having to turn to others. Does that make sense?
Okay.
So you're better off doing more of the sort of work where you're sharing your thoughts. Okay,
Okay.
this one
Okay.
here. So this is actually very clever, tying in with both Michael Clark and Ward Sheehan. So if you have someone like Ward or Michael saying, "Hey, I believe in what Brianna's doing," that's huge. Does that make sense?
Awesome. Yep.
Okay. So hats off to you for that. Well done. And then you've got Vanessa Norman. So you're quoting a well-known person. That's clever. Now, this one here is great and it's not great at the same time. Does that make sense,
Okay.
Brianna? So what's great about this one here is that you're giving away really good advice. Okay. What's not great about it is that you sort of beat around the bush before you get to it. Does that make sense?
Okay.
So if you could dive straight into the good advice with something like, hey, starting school can be a big milestone for kids with autism. Here are some things that really work. Just
So
get straight
it
into it.
doesn't need to be pretty, basically.
It doesn't need to be pretty. In fact, pretty's hurting you, okay?
Okay.
Because people see this, they're like, oh, it's too wordy, I won't read it. The other thing is that with these, they need to look like they were written by Breanna, not by her research. So you would lose the icons because they make it look a bit AI, and you'd also reduce the length of your sentences to about 7 or 8 words each. And then imagine if this post was just, hey, I help kids with autism all the time and it's a joy, and here are things that work at this time of year, and then got straight into it. What's going through your head when I suggest that?
Okay. You're right. Just like with websites, it doesn't need to be pretty, looking like perfect. It needs to be real and authentic.
And if you can put a picture in, even better. Okay,
Okay.
so for a picture, you can even just go to, say, a website like Pexels, Pexels, and then just type in something like, I don't know, silly animals. Okay, you're like, why would I type in silly animals? Because people will look at that picture, okay, or they'll look at that picture.
Love it.
Yeah, imagine that guy there on your post.
Yeah.
Now, I know it's silly to put a picture of a silly animal, but what do you lose?
Yeah.
Because people are scrolling through, at least they'll look at it.
Yeah.
And like this one, you can't do better than
Go,
that.
my cat Mars.
I just love it. Okay, so my cat's face, that's really clever. Now, this is where I'll give you a suggestion that is not followed by most people, even people who are smarter than me. So I love that you've got funniness in there, but you're actually promoting your own stuff. So the magic of LinkedIn is you get other people to promote your stuff. You'll notice I'm very proactive in promoting, say, Paul Bryan stuff, or say, like a lot of people. Where do I start? Stu Paul, any of their, because I believe in them, I'm happy to promote their stuff. But you won't see me promoting my own stuff hardly at all. What if you, instead of promoting your stuff, were to say something like, here are 5 bits of advice that work for me when I'm creating a big networking event, and then give
Okay.
advice. That's right. 1, tell Stu Paul. 2, ask Michael to make a video about it. 3, go and get a dozen of your friends to repost it. Because what you're doing there is you're being subject matter expert, showing people how to do it, and then they trust that she must do good networking events or she wouldn't be posting about it. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Cool.
Okay. And then let's have a look up the top at the Breanna Jenkins actual page. Okay, so when I look through this, the thing is, you are well on your way. 122 connections already. Well done. Okay, so have you got a paid LinkedIn account?
I do.
Okay, great. And if anyone watching this doesn't have a paid LinkedIn account, just find someone who's had an account for a while, like say myself or anyone who's had an account for a while. Through their own profile, they can give you a link that's 2 free months of LinkedIn. Because when you've got a paid account, you can actually hunt down 120 connections a week and connect with them. And you've got to expect a 50-50 strike rate, Breanna. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that does make sense.
Now, you're already maxing out your connections, right?
Yes.
For me, I'm always looking for directors or operations managers or people who are doing something big. Because what's going through my head is not, can they help me, but can they help the people that I work with?
I was just going to say, my approach has been focusing on mainly support coordinators. Would you say that's the way to go?
I wouldn't do it that way myself.
Okay.
And there's a reason for that. And support coordinators don't love it when I say this, but I don't know many good ones on LinkedIn. Because the really good support coordinators, they don't have time for LinkedIn because they've got their billable hours, their KPIs.
Yeah.
The ones on LinkedIn tend to be the brand new ones.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
I'd be looking to, if I was in your spot, to connect with other directors of similar businesses in your area.
Yep. Cool.
And then once you connect with them, they will refer to you the people outside of their skill set. So if autism and teenagers is your skill set, when they've got someone who's autistic, teenage, and has a fairly complicated story, they'll send them to you rather than have to break all their systems and do a poor job for someone. Does that make sense?
Yep. Yep, makes sense. I know who we work with and what we do, so I can refer out to other people as well.
That's right. And the thing is, it's like, it is counterintuitive because it's only in this industry that you would want to connect with people whose competition. So the thing is, though, 1 + 1 is 5. It's not 1 + 1 is 2, 1 + 1 is 3. It's 5, maybe it's 10. So the thing is, everyone who in your shoes needs to end up specializing in something very small. Okay,
Yep.
like autism teenagers or whatever it becomes. Autism teenagers with eating issues. Autism teenagers who are trying to build their social skills. You just narrow it down, and then your job on LinkedIn, Breanna, is to become the absolute subject matter expert at that and nothing else.
Okay.
Which means no one's competition because no one actually specializes in that. Okay?
Yeah.
You're the only person in autism world who cares about something tiny. Okay? So when you look at your profile, it doesn't scream subject matter expert. It screams generic.
Okay.
And so how would you fix that? Let me just, I'll show you mine so I can sort of show you an example. You'd fix that by going to view profile. If you look at mine, it's very simple. Okay, look at yours, it's complex. People won't read it because it's full of small writing. People will read that because there's only like 3 things to say. And if you can simplify that, but then simplify it to what is your area. Something like Breanna making life easier for teens with autism. Whatever is your magic. Does that make sense? What's your magic?
All things kids, teens, and young adults.
Okay, so that is so
Too
broad
broad.
that people won't send them to you. So rather than all things, maybe you could tweak it something like helping people when life is not on track for autistic teens, kids, and young adults. So you'd tweak it down, you'd put that up there, and then here we've got that, and it just looks like everyone else. So I'm trying to see, what have I done? It's important people understand what I do. Oh, first is I've got a photo in a style that I've never seen anyone do on LinkedIn. So I stand out. Does that make sense?
Yep. Yes. I have noticed your profile photo, and I'm like, yes, love that.
That's right. What sort of goose who does what I do wears a hat for his LinkedIn profile and a thumbs up? Like, that's crazy. Whereas you've gone all sensible.
Yeah.
Okay. Now you look approachable, you look kind, but are you trying to look approachable and kind, or are you wanting to be remembered?
Remembered, for sure.
Okay, so maybe like a bright fluoro yellow or bright fluoro purple behind you, and somehow you've got to be doing something really, really weird. Like, thumbs up probably doesn't match autism, but you'll work it out. Okay, and someone sees this director at that, that doesn't actually tell people what you do that solves their problem. It only tells them what your job is.
Okay.
So here's when someone goes to mine, and I need to update mine. I give all these people advice that then I never actually get around doing it for my own profile. But it's like what I should be doing is something like NDIS, strategy, websites, and marketing. So I should be changing that to something like NDIS referral generation, or something that explains to people how I solve them.
Yep, okay.
But I have been really clear, more participants without the stress, and I have been really clear, I don't know anyone else who does what I do, but who also has been a provider.
Yep.
So no one can see that. And if I laid it out better so people would read it more, no one can argue that, oh, this guy's an expert, I trust him, I'll send him stuff. So that's what you want to do here. Something like, I help young people with autism to love life and to engage socially and whatever else you do. Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
It can't be too generic. Yeah. But you have to tell them what the problem is you're solving, because that's not a solution there. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Totally makes sense. Yeah.
Okay.
It's sort of clicking into place, and these small changes make a big difference.
That's right. And I'll bet by the time people see this video, you've already changed it. And so people watching this video, go and have a look at Breanna Jenkins' profile now, and you'll see by now it probably looks very different, And then people get all caught up on the rest of the stuff. The rest of the stuff doesn't matter. It matters, but maybe 10%. Okay. So stuff like this, whenever you're writing on LinkedIn, ideally try and write new sentence, new line. Because people struggle to read block text on LinkedIn because they're so in the go, go, go mode.
Yep.
Okay. And it's about your niche. It's about the problems you solve for people. The hero of your story needs to be the people you work for. Okay. You're not self-promoting. You're just there to serve. It's like when I look through your posts, the next thing for you to do would be to go and make every post give good advice. That's your mission. That's all you need to do. So if I look at this, okay, so an example of that, this is my LinkedIn, and I get messages probably every second day. Hey, can you look at my website for me? And you know what, Breanna, the longer you're in this game, the more you're going to love this stuff. Okay?
Yeah,
good luck with
I'm
that.
sure.
Okay. And so that's just a personal one saying, hey, I miss my family when I'm traveling. Because what that's doing is it's telling people, hey, I travel. Don't think just because you don't live in Canberra or Sydney that I'm not going to meet you. Does that make sense? But but it's also from the heart. I was missing my family, which is why I wrote it.
Yeah.
And then that's me sort of, there's another Breanna, okay? Except it's another person. Just me promoting someone who I wholeheartedly believe in, okay? Who's doing good things. And so, details. What you want to do is go and do that sort of stuff on your posts, where you're lifting people up, you're elevating them, you're showing their best side, and you're being a subject matter expert in things, but you need to pick out the people with autism or whatever your niche is and go and highlight them. Because when you highlight them, they'll share it to their friends, people end up knowing you, and you've lifted all of it.
Awesome.
That's so cool. Well, given that you're incredibly bright and you just apply things straight away and you've got this, okay?
So now when I post things on LinkedIn or when I'm doing things on LinkedIn, I won't be thinking so deeply, so analytically about it. I can just speak from the heart and be myself from a different angle.
That's right.
Well, this is very exciting. I'm excited.
Okay. You're going to get information overload. So let's wrap up there.
Yes.
It's like, Breanna, you can do this. And the thing is, everyone else watching this video, if Breanna can do this, you can do this. Okay? Like, This is not rocket science. Yeah. What would be your advice to someone who's like, oh, will I, won't I? What would be your advice?
Get out there, give it a go. You may as well start. Every failure is one failure closer to success.